Good morning, Alexa. It's Raptorsfreak here. It's Sunday for a Sunday special report about the Rico Hines runs and whether they're legal or not. Yeah, I love that cliffhanger yesterday. Don't worry, I'll answer it all. And a short answer, just for people that want to know from my title and maybe don't want to watch the whole thing and just want to know it's legal what we did. So don't worry, we're not going to get any trouble. Just to let you know right away. Good morning, Lolita. Good to see you so early and stuff like that. Lots of stuff to talk about this morning. Very interesting things that happened last night. Monique is saying built different. It's Scottie Barnes' world, and we're just all living in it. Pro-Am vibes. That's right. The Toronto Pro-Am went down last night, and our two Raptors looked sensational at the Pro-Am. Not a very big crowd because the place doesn't take a lot of people, but it was hyped. There was a lot of great energy in there. Malachi Flynn and Scottie Barnes showing up to Metheny Athletic Center and just killing it. Malachi got 54 points, just like I was predicting. You guys were like, what is Malachi going to get? I said, well, if you get 50 points, I'll be real happy. And people in attendance were like, he's got to be near 60 somewhere there and stuff like that. And yes, he was bombing threes and looking really, really good. And there's an interesting stat about Malachi now. From his 3 Pro-Am games this summer, he has almost scored as many points as he scored all of last season for the Raptors in the regular season in games and stuff. So this is pretty interesting that his 70 points in Seattle, his 50 at Drew League, and then his 50 here are pretty much almost the same total as all the points he scored last season. So crazy. Tom Duke saying, how long does Nick Nurse have to sit in the corner? We aren't in trouble, really, are we? Way to go, Malachi. Nah, Tom. Good morning, Tom. No, we're not in trouble. And the reason why I wanted to bring this subject up is because there are other fan nations that are trying to get us in trouble. They're trying to blow the whistle on the Raptors. Tweet, tweet. What's going on with the Raptors at Rico Hines? And why are they not getting fined like the Minnesota Timberwolves last summer for their practice that they held in Miami? Well, let's just talk about that first. Listen, this is what happened. Did you guys know that Alex Rodriguez is a part owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves? Yes, that A-Rod from baseball. He became a part owner of the Timberwolves last year. And what they did was the new ownership of the Timberwolves paid and flew all of the Timberwolves to Miami near Alex Rodriguez's house and had a nice private practice for them in a facility by the owners that they owned. And they had the whole team there. Well, they violated NBA rules about practicing in the offseason. That between the summer league and the things that are official with the NBA and free agency, and between official training camp, which doesn't start until, just before preseason, you're not supposed to officially meet as a team. You're not supposed to get together. Your team's not supposed to say, hey, all you guys got to be here in Miami because we're practicing at A-Rod's house and stuff like that. That's the big no-no part of what Minnesota did, was that they made it, I think they made it a mandatory thing. Now, even if they didn't, even if the players voluntarily came and they said, hey, we're going to do a practice here at A-Rod's house in Miami, you guys can come if you don't want to. We'll pay for your airfare to get here. And they're like, yeah, okay, it will come. Well, when they paid for their airfare to get there, they violated NBA rules. Because part of it is when a team pays to travel a player to come somewhere for an official or non-official thing or whatever they did, that actually goes against the salary cap. And that actually has to be figured into their finances for the year if they do something like that. So it was a big problem what they did. It was just kind of like, if people are making all kinds of jokes, oh, A-Rod's involved, of course there's cheating and stuff like that. But yeah, it was basically that he was a new owner with the Timberwolves. They wanted to get the team together and have them work out and practice. The thing also about it was that it was only Timberwolves. And this is the big key thing here, because I'm going to exonerate Rico Hines runs real quick in a second. You can hear the differences of what's happening between Miami, Minnesota Timberwolves practice and Rico Hines runs with the Raptors, is that it was private, and there were no other people involved in the practice the Minnesota Timberwolves did last year other than Timberwolves people. And in fact, their personnel was there. They had coaches there. They had all their staff there. All the kind of people like John Lee we were talking about yesterday, Monique. This is part of the infraction, that it was pretty much an official Timberwolves event, practice, official, unofficial, because they spent money on bringing them there. They were all there, and it was just them. It was enclosed Timberwolves event. There were no other players. Like, there wasn't James Harden there. There wasn't, Marshawn Beauchamp. There wasn't Montrezl Harrell. There wasn't all these other players. And that's a big part of the difference, is that you can't call it a Raptors practice when you've got players from other teams there also. So, see, this is the thing. The Raptors, they did not pay to get any of the Raptors to come to Rico Hines. That these guys came on their own dime. And that is part of not breaking the rules, is that the team cannot finance anything that we did with Rico Hines. In fact, I don't think they can pay Rico Hines for doing it as an assistant coach on the staff. So it's kind of like, this is a free will thing. This is a thing where these guys, the Raptors, they're all committed, and they like, maybe they talk amongst themselves. Well, we got to come there and we got to do this together, unified, because there's the team can't officially tell them to go there. The team cannot pay for them to go there. And, the stuff like that. And even with Jim Sand and Nate Bjorngren and John Carbascio and all the assistant coaches sitting in the gym watching the Rico Hines runs, was that illegal? Well, did they coach? Did they say anything? Did they do anything other than sit there and observe the runs? That's all they did. I don't think they were saying anything to the guys during that whole time. They were just observing and taking it all in and stuff like that. It may have been different if they were up and involved more in coaching and doing different things like that and stuff like that. So there's real lines that are drawn. In fact, I have the official ruling from the rule book of the NBA right here about the prohibition against off-season practice sessions. During the off-season, i.e. following the conclusion of a team season and before the start of training camp, teams are prohibited from conducting, arranging, financing, or otherwise assisting in the organization of practice or group workout sessions, including but not limited to informal scrimmages and pickup games, strength or conditioning programs with groups of players, or meetings or strategy sessions between groups of players and coaches, collectively practice sessions. With players under contract and or free agents, whether or not such practices sessions are voluntary. So see, even if they made it voluntary, you can still get in trouble for just having certain interactions between coaches and players if they're initiated by the organization. So this is something that's very, very like a fine line you can walk, because it's all how you interpret it in some ways. The NBA could look at different things and say, well, this looks like an infraction because of this, but it's not because of this. So it's really how much involved like Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster and Nick Nurse and like the organization is in this whole thing. Now, Rico Hines being an assistant coach of the Raptors, does that get us in trouble? Well, he has an established business of doing these Rico Hines runs for years and years right now. And, he's had Sacramento players come and run in the runs while he was an assistant coach for the Sacramento Kings. But once again, when you have the influx of all types of players, whether they're European players that play overseas, whether they're college guys trying to come in and break into the league, whether they're Pascal Siakam, that mix of having not just a straight up Raptors practice inside there, where it's just Raptors players and personnel, really helps break this from being a problem. And stuff like that. So let me see what you guys are saying about it, and we'll interact about this a little bit, because it is an interesting thing, because we're seeing more and more players this summer getting together and working out together, teammates, people like Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo working out together. You see Kevin Durant and certain people working out recently and stuff like that. So good morning, Jimmy Pope. Good to see you. Good morning, Canadian Cowboy. Good to see you. Lolita's saying, I can't wait for today's chat. Your take on Raptors on Rico Hines. Thanks. No problem, Lolita. Yeah, hopefully you're hearing what you want to hear. If you have any questions, just ask them. Ask away. G saying Malachi with 53, Scottie with his strong dunks. Yeah, Scottie looked really good last night. Once again, I'm glad he came and played. And we knew he might do it. I really wish I'd just gone with my gut and said, he looks like he wants to play on Twitch on Monday when we were talking about it. I was like, man, he really looks like he wants to play. He didn't say it for sure. Well, he did. He showed up and he was the star of the show. He came in, they were flashing their cameras in his face, taking pictures. He didn't like that. He looked a little annoyed, but this is just part of what he's been telling us, that he's not into crowds. He's not into being crowded up by people. And if he was dealing it with it like LeBron was dealing with it in Seattle, it would be even worse, Scottie. Oh my gosh. In fact, Scottie told us something funny this week in the Twitch. He said when he's in Florida, this is so funny, guys. You guys will laugh about this. He said when he's in Florida recently and he's out on the street and people come up to him, they'll ask him, "Are you Scottie Barnes?" And he'll say to the people in Florida, he won't do this in Canada. He'll tell the truth. He'll say in Florida, "No, I'm not." And then he'll keep walking. He lies to the people in Florida because he doesn't want them to bug him. So he's telling them he's not Scottie Barnes when they ask him in public. But he will do it here. He'll say if you ask him here in Toronto, "Are you Scottie Barnes?" He'll be like, "Yeah, I am Scottie Barnes." But in Palm Beach, back home, he's telling people he's not Scottie Barnes when he's cited in public, which I think is really telling and interesting in a couple ways. But yeah, Scottie doesn't like crowds. Scottie doesn't like people approaching him in public. Scottie does not like having too much encroachment in his private life. And you could see it when he made his entrance into the court last night when everybody was crowding up on him. He made a face, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, he put on a show. He had some badass dunks. He did kind of what I was hoping he would do: set up Malachi with some great 3-point shots, a lot of assists from Scottie to Malachi, set it up, and really fun to see them palling around on the court together. You could tell Malachi was having a really good time. And this is really good for Malachi in all kinds of ways, especially his confidence. I know these games are just summer pro-ams and they don't really matter, but they can't hurt his confidence. That going into the season, if Malachi feels a little bit more loose, a little more confident, a little more ballerish, and can get going this year because of having that little bit of new swagger, I'm all for it. Even, this was fun. And he was cooking people last night. I'm not gonna lie. You look at some of the highlights, and Malachi's got handles, and he's got a way of shaking people off of him. So it's going to be real interesting to see Malachi Flynn year 3 with the Raptors. This could be a whole kind of different thing that we didn't expect, and it could be very badass. It could be a lot of fun. Yeah, at the end of the game kind of degenerated into a dunk contest, and Scottie was doing 360s and windmills and stuff like that. That crowd got such a treat. That building was electric and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of interesting that the two crossover events were happening at the same night, like the one in Seattle and the one in Toronto. The one in Seattle was very interesting what happened there. They had to end the game before halftime. The court had too much condensation. It was unsafe. And you've got like Jason Tatum, LeBron James, Paolo Banchero, DeJounte Murray. They're all running around, Chet Holmgren, on this wet court, and they had to stop the game. All these people camped out overnight in Seattle to see LeBron, and they only got less than half of a Pro-Am game. That's sad and sucks in some ways. And it's like, wow, this is really going to drive the thirst for basketball in Seattle. Getting that little taste and then getting it yanked away but you know what? There was enough time in that game in Seattle for a couple things to happen. It seems that Paolo and DeJounte have quashed their beef. I mean, it may not be that there really was any beef because it was really just DeJounte being crazy and being a little psycho. Well, he still, they say they quashed their beef, but when you look at what happened when they're saying they quashed his beef, it doesn't look like it totally to me. Because basically what happened is Paulo's going to the basket. DeJounte hits him. He hits the ground. And DeJounte uses that opportunity to grab his arm and yank him up off the ground real hard. He yanks him. He jerks him up. And then he does one of those overly aggressive kind of yeah, I'm your buddy. And he hits him in the back of the head. He's smacking him in the back of the head. I'm like, yeah, okay, they're fine. Sure. That looks like underlying anger still. The way he yanked him up off the ground and then banged him on the back of the head. You look at it and you tell me. So I don't think things are all totally peachy keen between those two guys. I think DeJounte's got a weird edge now that he's an Atlanta Hawk. and that there's going to be some weirdness between them still and stuff like that. But anyway, they say they quashed the beef. Whatever. DeJounte's being nice, but he's being very nice. Very nice. Another thing that happened in the Seattle Pro-Am game that was really interesting is Chet Holmgren got hurt right away. Yeah, listen, I told y'all, this is my thing with him. He's a bust. This man's not physically built to play in the NBA. He shows up to the Pro-Am and he's facing LeBron James for the first time. And the very first play that he interacts with LeBron James, he hurts his ankle and has to leave the game. That is very telling, y'all. I'm going to tell you that right now. This dude is overhyped. And I really don't think he's got the NBA body that can handle this league. And if he's going into a Pro-Am and 5 minutes into the Pro-Am, he's getting hurt because he had contact with King James coming to the basket. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This dude may not be cut out for it. He may look real good and be a unicorn, and everybody's like, "Oh, Chet Holmgren, he looks cool," and stuff like that. Yeah, but is he physically able to hang in the NBA? Because he can't even hang in a Pro-Am game. And one play with LeBron James showing the physicality going to the basket. That is not good for him. Yeah, let's see. Tom Duke saying crossover with LeBron and Tatum was cut short. Things were safe because the floor was slippery. Too many people made the gym too humid. It was crazy in there. In fact, that is a fail by the facilities manager of that place. I'm sure that the people here in Toronto for the Maple Leaf Gardens game, they made sure that place was right for good stuff to happen. They should have done that in Seattle. It's crazy. They had so many more people there. It was nuts. And these people slept outside overnight to try and get in there and see these guys. It's too bad they didn't get more highlights. There was one really nice alley-oop that Jason Tatum threw for LeBron, and he threw it down. That was pretty cool. Stuff like that was happening in the game, which was pretty good. So they got a little taste, but maybe this will make Seattle even more voracious for wanting the NBA to be back in town, and maybe they'll get their Sonics back sooner than later because of the outpouring of people and just the interest and just how hype yesterday was for Seattle, stuff like that. People were saying that Jamal Crawford, he could run for mayor of Seattle at this point, and he'd probably win because he's so popular for bringing these stars to Seattle yesterday. That's pretty cool. I like that. G said, apparently the Seattle game was very unorganized in general. Yeah, I could see that. Well, maybe if he's a mayor like that, then they don't want him to be the mayor. I don't know. Tom Duke's saying, yeah, people on the court and the basketball was nothing compared to the Rico runs. Well, listen, the basketball Rico runs has been so fun to watch. Clips keep coming out. Rico's in Rwanda now. He's finally there. He's going to be doing a week of camps and runs in Rwanda. Give him back. So awesome to see Rico go over there and do this and stuff like that. Now, once again, I'm not doing this clip today to try and get the Raptors in trouble. In fact, I want to delineate exactly why they're not in trouble for what they did and stuff like that, because they really didn't do anything wrong. This is the thing. Gary Trent, OG, Pascal, Fred, Koloko, Jeff Doughton, Ron Harper, Scottie, everybody that went there. Not everybody went there. Precious wasn't there. Kem wasn't there. There were different Raptors that didn't show up for the Rico Hines runs. So it wasn't like a mandatory practice. It wasn't like the Raptors came to all these guys and said, hey, all you guys go to Rico Hines. It was more like, hey, we're going to go to Rico Hines. And that's what we want to do because we're committed to helping the Raptors be the best team that they can be. And that means us showing up and putting in work on our own time, on our own dime. And that's the thing. Scottie went and played in the first week of Rico Hines, left for the second week, and then came back for the third week. None of those times he traveled back and forth were paid for by the Raptors. Because if they were, then it would be a violation. So there's all kinds of tricky rules with your players getting together in the offseason and practicing and playing together. It's basically they have to do it on their own. You can't pay for it. You can't have your coaching staff and different people working with them in certain ways. And it can't be a closed practice. It can't be done things in certain ways. And this is why the Minnesota Timberwolves got fined $250,000 last year for the practice they held at A-Rod's house in Miami last year. So, that's the kind of stuff. So it may be that they just saw A-Rod's a new owner and we're going to show them you can't do any of your funny stuff in our league. And we're going to fine you right away as a new owner in the league. All right. Canadian Cowboy saying, is it true that Rico is a Raptor now? I seen Paul and Beverly talking trash to him when they wanted to foul to Rico saying he's a Raptor now. Yeah, this is true, and it's funny. This is true. This I saw this little bit too. Paul George and Patrick Beverley joking that like they wanted a foul called on the court from one of the Raptor players fouling them, and then they didn't get the call. And Patrick Beverley's being funny. He's like, "Oh, Rico's a Raptor now. You ain't going to get that call." It is true. Rico Hines is a Raptors assistant coach at this point. That he is one of our guys now, and he will be on our bench this year. So this is a huge coup as far as like getting a great new mind and motivator on our team and on our bench and stuff like that. So yeah, Rico, that's G saying Rico Hines is the new development and assistant coach to the Raptors. Yeah, it is true, and he is on. Now, there's other different people we're trying to speculate. Like we've talked about Jarrett Culver recently, him wearing Raptor stuff at the Rico Hines. Is he actually a Raptor or not? Scottie on his Twitch said, I think he is. I forgot to tell you guys this. And we talked about Jarrett Culver on his Twitch last Monday. And he's like, yeah, I think he is on our team. Because like I seen like he's around us and we're acting like he's on our team. So even though there's nothing official about Jarrett Culver, Scottie's telling us that he's pretty sure that he's involved with our team going into the season. It may just be that he's in Exhibit 10. He's going 905 route, kind of like Gabe Brown. He's not going to be on the training camp roster, but he's pretty sure he's in our system and that he's going to be at the G League level for us, is what Scottie was kind of hinting at the other day. So, and then the other one that happened yesterday is we did offer a tender or whatever. We did retain the rights to Jalen Harris. That we did exercise our right by giving there's a minimal amount of money we have to pay to keep his rights, and that's what we did. Now, that doesn't mean that we signed him. That doesn't mean that he's on contract or playing for us this year. That just means that we put in the money or we made I don't even know if it costs anything. It's just that we did say we want to retain his rights. So we did make that official yesterday. But that still doesn't mean that he's on the team for sure. In fact, they're saying that it may mean that like he's going to have to be stashed because we're absolutely stacked for a whole roster in training camp. This already there's no place for him. So we're keeping his rights, but it still doesn't mean he's going to be on our team. It's like he could still get an offer from any other team in the league, and we could choose not to match it and let him walk, or we could try and match it. But I don't understand why we would. Just because, we don't have any place to stash him or anything like that, other than maybe just have him on G League straight up, and that's it. So, all right, let's keep going. G thinks it's an amazing signing to get Rico. I think so too. Monique saying, good stuff, Lex. Do we know why Rico's in Africa? He really is kind of like one of these things where he wants to give back. He wants to do something that means something. He's going there, as he said, to develop the next generation. That he's coming there just like Masai goes with Giants Africa, just like Precious just did recently with his camp in Nigeria, that he's going there to give back and get some young talent stirred up and get them inspired to start working on their game over there to be coming up in the system and in the way that, come into the league and stuff. So that's why Rico is going to Rwanda. And I think that he may have personal ties to that country himself. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. But, much like Masai and Precious have personal ties to Nigeria, I think that Rico may have family ties to Rwanda also. And that may be why he's going there specifically. G saying Chet hurt himself trying to stop LeBron. Yeah, he did right away. It was a really weird play. Like LeBron had him on his heels going backwards and driving to the lane. And Chet kind of he didn't even hit him hard or anything like that. He stepped on his leg funny, and then he was limping and walking on his ankle was gone, and he had to leave the game. So he didn't even last the game, and the game didn't even last till halftime. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that he's going to be a lot of hype, and we're going to see some reality what happens with him. Monique saying John Lee is the best strength and conditioning coach in Canada. Yeah, listen, I was wondering about that. Like, if he's there, he may be there. I don't know. See, there's probably are really fine details to how you don't break the rules of what we're talking about today. And it may be that maybe he has to be outside of the Raptors organization, and maybe the players that are there have to pay him for his expertise and help in things that he's training them while they're there, and it's outside of the realm of the Raptors. Like there's no money exchange with the organization and John Lee getting paid to do that. It may be that Rico's paying John Lee straight up or something like that as an extra strength coach on the side. Or maybe he's just like Bjorngren and Carbascio and Sand, and he's just sitting there as a spectator. And he's just taking it in and watching also. It could be that they wanted him to be there on hand just in case anything like happened where he could be there just in case. I don't know. There's all kinds of different reasons why John Lee was at the Rico Hines runs. I don't think it's necessarily because he was working. It could be that he was just there to watch too. Tom Duke saying Raptors are guilty of having motivated players. I love this. Tom Duke, you're hilarious. This is what Raptors, you're guilty of having players that care too much about winning at Larry O'Brien's. I mean, this is a real sign this summer. And like we said, the part of the effect is the pandemic and being not able to do this kind of stuff in the summer. This is bringing everybody out to want to do it this summer because they can again, because things are not closed down. And they're all like, want to get back out there and do it. But it's also like, your players have to want to do this. And that's what I'm saying. This is such a vote of confidence. This just shows such dedication as a whole, as a group, that we could get such a high percentage of our roster to show up to Rico Hines voluntarily on their own dime to work together and do this together. That is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. And it really does show our guys are committed. That we're seeing little pockets of other players from other teams getting together. Maybe a couple of Washington Wizards, maybe a few Miami Heat, maybe some, Golden State Warriors are getting together here and there, but it's the same kind of thing. They're doing it on their own dime. They're showing up voluntarily, and they may only have like 2 or 3 of the guys from their team. Well, we were running with like 15 of our guys from our extended roster at Rico Hines, and that is fantastic. I love Tom Duke's statement. The Raptors are guilty of having motivated players. I love that. Monty Python, you're not that late. What is it? We're just a half hour in. Don't be, shoot. You didn't miss this. You're not an upper class twit of the year. Come on now. All right, let's see. Monique's saying, do we remember John Lee's daughter got a great seat of the Kawhi shot? Okay, so that's John Lee's daughter is near in this Kawhi shot picture. She's in there somewhere. That's interesting. I didn't know about that. That'll be very cool. Kenny's saying Rwanda has the best facilities. Maybe that's why he's there too. That could make sense. Yeah, that could make sense too. They want to go to different places. If Bonga's going there, maybe he wants to go to a certain place. If Ibaka goes back, he's trying to go to Brazzaville or something like that. They're going to go to where it matters to them personally and stuff like that. That's why I think that Rico's in Rwanda. I think that he does have some sort of connection to that country and stuff like that. G saying, I think a group of Pistons went to the Hines runs. Yeah, I think we saw Jaden Ivey. Actually, those runs that we're seeing in the last couple of days are actually at Campbell Hall, which is another part of LA. And I don't think that's technically a Rico Hines run. That was a different run. The one we're seeing, I think Kevin Durant was there, and Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham. Who else was there? There was another Piston there that was also there. I was thinking I think you're right, G, because I've seen images of them together, but that wasn't Rico Hines. That's actually a different run in California at Campbell Hall, I think is what I was seeing. Top saying, good morning. I agree. I don't think every team would be able to get their entire team out there. Too many egos, too many different moving parts with different things happening and stuff like that. These guys have a clear path and idea what the Raptors want from them and what they're doing. So everything is very calculated and organized, even if it's not officially organized or anything like that. It could be just at the end of the season, they do their exit interviews for the season and they said, listen, guys, this summer, you guys should work on this, this, and this, and this. And they listen to them. And that's about it. Because I didn't see the coaches talking to the players at all. They're just sitting there watching them. And that could be a way to violate this rule is if our coaches that aren't Rico Hines, because I don't even see Earl Watson out there kind of coaching them at all. He may speak at the end and stuff like that, but I didn't see him involved during the actual runs and stuff like that. So interesting. Top saying, I don't like when they say Gary won't accept the 6-man role because I think he's mature enough to accept it. Yeah, I think he would, but I don't think he wants to, and I don't think he should. Actually, I'm with this. It's It's not about accepting it. I think that if it was in the best interest of the team, he'll do it. But I don't think that he's lost his job. I'm on the record for saying this. That just because Precious is emerging doesn't mean he just gets to start. That he's still going to be going in his third year, and he's still kind of a project on the down low. Like he may be a lot more capable and very talented, and he's going to show some crazy, amazing stuff, I'm sure. But it's also the kind of thing where I've said this before. It's like a seniority thing. And like Gary hasn't done anything to lose his job in the starting lineup. It's really going to get worked out and, as Nick Nurse puts it, finessed and figured out over the course of the season. But I really don't want to do this to Gary. We've already done this stuff this summer with him in the middle of the trade talks for Kevin Durant. He's probably had it the worst, him and OG. And I just don't like this. I don't like that the Raptor fans, there's so many Raptor fans right now that are calling out for Gary to come off the bench and to start Precious. We don't decide this. We don't decide this. And if anything, we the more we express this opinion, maybe we hurt Gary's feelings. Not that he's a hard guy. He just doesn't care. But it's that kind of thing. It's like I don't want him to see us saying he should come off the bench because I don't think that's true either. Partly me, but I also worry about his confidence because I knew this is actually a huge part of why he struggled in Portland is he was jerked around between the bench and the starting lineup. He got depressed, and that's why he didn't play as well there. Well, he's been unlocked here. We don't want him to revert into an old feeling of how he felt in Portland because we're doing the same thing to him here. So that's what I'm saying. Like if Nick Nurse, maybe in private, he has a very clear way to these guys can understand how to earn time and how to earn their spots. He said, listen, if this happens, then you get the spot. And they may know the process, and it may be that we don't actually exactly know it, and like Precious knows it, and he knows that his time's going to come. It's just that he has to wait for the opening to happen and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Gary would accept it as a teammate if he had to, but I don't think he should have to. That's what I'm saying. Is that he hasn't done anything to not keep starting. He's a great player, and he starts really well with Fred in the backcourt as far as defensively. And listen, he's such a great offensive player. We need him right off the start, in my opinion, just to get our offense going and getting easy baskets earlier and stuff like that. So let's see. Yeah. Monique saying, are we getting closer? As we get closer to training camp, what are you thinking? I don't know. I've got a whole bunch of different things I have to take care of before training camp. I got to go to Florida. I got some issues here at my house all of a sudden that are really bad timing that I've got to deal with that I'd rather not disclose. So I'm going to be super busy. And like we got the thing on Friday, Monique. So I'm going to be really, really busy. I'll think about training camp closer to it, but I got to take care of some personal issues in my life over the next couple weeks, whether it's helping my folks move out of their house in Florida or it's some things that have come up here in my house recently that's a real problem. And I got to take care of it. So I'm a little distracted right now, actually. I haven't slept very much from last night because I've got a real issue at my house all of a sudden. And I got to fix it. Top saying, I agree. I think Precious will have to take the spot, win it out. He'll get it, and it'll be like, listen, it's going to be like last year. Guys are going to miss games from time to time. They may even have rest games. It may be that, we have to rest a guy like Fred one night, and then boom, Precious is starting for that night. And stuff like that. It'll switch around, and it could very well be that Precious starts like maybe 2/3 or no, not 2/3, maybe a third to a half of the games this season. After all, just with the way things work, I don't want that to happen because of injury, but that's what I'm saying. We have a premium extra starter for when we do have to have guys miss a game. And last year it was like two good guys would have missed every game. It would be like OG and Fred would be out a game, or then it would be like we don't have Scottie for this game and Pascal's still out. So there's usually like two spots in the starting lineup that they had to fill last year. So think about it that way. Precious is going to get his time. He's going to be the first one to step up and get into the starting lineup out of everybody on the bench, unless it's a size issue and they want Kem to start instead. So, yeah, it's that kind of thing. Leslie saying the NBA is shifting to an international game. I like this. If they do more like the international game in certain ways, that may be really good. I don't want them to do the weird hexagonal lane. I don't like the goaltending rules in international play because the NBA players are just too talented, and it would cause the defense would be too good if there were no goaltending rules and you could grab the ball off of the rim. Some of the things you can do in international play and stuff like that. But it is true. They are trying to make it more exciting and more like that. And it's not just with the rules. Teams in the NBA are trying to run more like, whether it's Team Canada or teams in the NBA like ours, are trying to run their teams more like European teams as far as team unity and kind of team concept, instead of getting away from the superstar concept that the NBA's been in for the last 15 or 20 years and stuff like that. So team concept basketball is back in the NBA, and the Raptors are a great example of it and stuff like that. So it is a little bit more like the international game in that way too. Tom Duke saying, I love the hot hand mentality. Nick Nurse will try to do anything. How many starters we have compared to other organizations? Yes, exactly what Tom's saying here. This is a strength for our roster, that Nick really does pay attention to who he feels like is the right people to ride with. And it's not the same people every night. It's going to be sometimes Chris Boucher is out there at the end of the game taking one of the starter spots. It could be that Gary shows up and he's absolute fire. He's hitting everything, and he wants to ride him for most of the game and stuff like that. Maybe another game where Gary is not having a good game and he gets his minutes deduced over the course of the game. And Precious ends up playing more than him anyway in a game that he didn't start. So, there's a lot of different ways to do the minutes in a way that it makes sense. And I really do think that Nick Nurse is smart about how he does it for the most part, and that he does ride the hot hand. If he does have somebody going, it's not like he's going to bench him and not keep using them. So we have a lot of different weapons that we can pick and choose from. And like you said, he's got to finesse it and figure out, plug in and play and see what's working and keep trying. Shane Waters saying, happy Sunday. I won't get on the page if Precious starting over Gary till Precious proves he can be consistent on offense. Gary Trent Jr. generates his own offense, which is important in a starting role, in my opinion. Yes, Gary is a very unique player on our team in some ways, that we don't have another guy on our team that's like Gary. And I really like what some of the Raptor fans have been coming out and saying recently on Twitter is all the talk about Donovan Mitchell is still going on. And people talking about, oh, we should trade for Donovan Mitchell. We should get Donovan Mitchell. And like some people, Raptor fans are saying, well, I'd rather have Gary Trent Jr. than Donovan Mitchell. And people are like, what? And they're like, yeah, even though Donovan Mitchell scored 50 points or did this in the bubble or whatever, he's supposed to be an elite scorer or better than Gary Trent Jr. in this league. In some ways, he's not, though, because Gary's a better fit for our team, especially on the defensive end. Like Donovan Mitchell's defense is not the same as Gary Trent Jr.'s. And that would be the difference in that. And I love that Raptor fans realize this and they're saying stuff like this. It's like, listen, you want to trade us Donovan Mitchell, but we have Gary Trent. We don't really need Donovan Mitchell. In fact, we'd rather have Gary Trent, what we already have, than try and get Donovan Mitchell and make him work here. So that's true. I look at it the same way. Gary Trent Jr. is way better on defense with our team than Donovan Mitchell would be. And he may really hurt our team. So that's another way I'm seeing people standing up for Gary right now that I really appreciate and like. Marlon Toby, good to see you, my friend. Good morning. I like that two-man game with Fred and Koloko. Yeah. Isn't it nice? Like, it's very natural, Marlon. Like, I really like Fred. Fred's a great, like, lobber anyway. But like Koloko may be one of the best targets he's gotten since he's been on the Raptors. Sure, there was Serge. Sure, you can lob it to people like, Scottie or DeMar or Pascal. But Koloko, that's a whole other area of air, another stratosphere that you can throw it up nice and high, and he could probably go get it. And Fred, it looked like Fred is really like toying with the new fun of the synergy between playing with Koloko and getting him easy scores and stuff like that. I think that is a really natural fit already. Like, it looks like it. You can see it. This is the first time these guys are messing around playing together, other than in Las Vegas at Summer League a little bit and behind the practice. Now, see, let me bring that up real quick. Now, at Summer League, the Raptors had a closed practice with their coaches. They did. They had it, and it was all legal because it was at Summer League. And it wasn't, and this is the other thing. The Raptors veterans were committed and they showed up. Like Fred, Kem, all of them showed up. Precious was at that one too. And they practiced with the Summer League team, the main Raptors, with the coaches in private practices with just the Raptors, closed practice. And that was legal because that was all within the summer league time in Las Vegas, and that is allowed for teams to hold closed team practices during summer league events. And so that was completely legal what they did there. We've seen some footage of it in Scottie's first episode on YouTube of his new channel and his new show, that there's footage from those practices, the closed practices at Summer League with the new young players on the Summer League and the core veteran Raptors. And that's completely legal because that's a sanctioned NBA Summer League Las Vegas event. That's the difference. Now, there's something that I saw on Twitter from a coach of UCLA. There's a female coach. I forget what her name is, Corey, I think. She posted something about talking about how she's so happy that Rico does the Rico Hines runs and how amazing the Raptors are and how they run their practices and how they do things and stuff like that. And like she was really impressed with Pascal Siakam. And she had a lot of kind words for Raptors players and Rico Hines for how they were teaching UCLA players that play for their university and practice and stuff. It's really glowing reviews. I forget what her name is. Coach Corey is talking on Twitter about how the Raptors were so cool in doing that. Now, that may have been a little bit of a practice that I worry about because that looked like that was with the coaches and at UCLA. But I don't know. Once again, I don't want to put on any spotlight or anything like that. I don't think the Raptors did anything wrong. They're so smart. They're not dumb. It's like they know all the legalities and things that they can do and they can get away with and they can't get away with. But if we do hear that they're in trouble for anything that they did this summer, I'm sure they'd also be like, you know what? We don't care. It was worth it. We'll open up the pocketbook. Because in a way, A-Rod and Minnesota Timberwolves ownership paying $250,000 last year for that practice, it may have been worth it in some ways. So that's the kind of thing. It's like, even if we do get a penalty for anything we did, it may be worth it for getting that leg up and different things and how much we got work in with our guys and stuff like that. So, yeah. And also Marlon's saying, hope we can sign Jarrett Culver to 905. I think we can develop his game further. Yeah, Scottie spoke really highly of him. He's saying he can ball. He can say he's a good player. This is exactly what Scottie said about Jarrett Culver when he was talking about him last Monday. You see, he thinks he's on the Raptors already. There's nothing officially announced, but Scottie says he's a Raptor from what he knows and he can tell from being around him at Rico Hines and him wearing Raptors gear and stuff like that. It's under his impression that he is a part of our team somehow, some way, even though it's not been officially announced. Monique's saying Gary Sr. will have a lot to say about this. Watch. Gary Sr. is amazing, honestly. Like, I think it's funny. His friends posted on his Instagram, that crazy guy who's training by carrying bleachers on his back, or like he carries big, huge monster truck tires and stuff like that on his back and stuff like that. His friends were making fun of Gary Trent Sr. saying, got nothing on this dude until you start doing this crazy man's workout where he's carrying bleachers. You know the clip I'm talking about. If you're on Twitter or different places, you'll see this viral clip of this guy whose workout is insane because he's carrying like big, huge objects and doing just insane things in his workout. Well, Gary Trent Sr.'s friends are trying to tell him this is how he should be working out if he's a real man. I think that's hilarious. It's funny. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Gary Trent Sr. has to say. He is a wild one. Let's just put it that way. Shane Waters saying autocorrect sucks. Sorry, I'm going to shut up and lurk. That's all right. Keep talking. I'm pretty good at figuring it out, even if it's not exactly the right word. Obviously, you see that I can fix it and stuff like that. So don't worry about it, Shane. It's all good. It's good to see my BC Raptor freaks in the house. Kenny's saying, we keep hearing Precious has improved. Any clips? Well, if you want to see these clips, Kenny, I would go to Precious's Instagram and look for the clips from when he was over in Nigeria. Because the stuff there is really mostly just dunks, him just pulling off crazy ass dunks and stuff. There is a bit of Precious on Scottie's first YouTube episode from the practice that I was just talking about in Vegas at Summer League. So there's a little bit of Precious there also. Listen, this is the thing. We've had Brian Macon come out and talk about Scottie Barnes and how much he's improved this summer with his offseason work and how much better he looks. And we can see it. I mean, seriously, we can see it. He looks like an even better player than he was last year as a rookie. And he was impressive as a rookie. I think he's made a huge leap this summer, just from the way he's moving on the court, how much bigger he looks, the more confidence. He's kind of throwing his weight around with more purpose and confidence than he did last season. And this is really going to translate to huge things in the NBA this year, because he's ready to bully people as a 2-year vet. It's crazy. But then you got Precious's trainer had the interview with Aaron Rose, and he was saying that he sees a big, huge jump in him, that he sees some stuff with him that is absolutely way better. Both him and Scottie have improved their ball handling this summer. That both of them are shooting better. Like Precious has a better 3-point shot, even more better. So does Scottie. So does Pascal. And then listen, another person has come out and talked about their guy and them being better, and that they expect them to be an all-star this year. And that is the former university coach of OG Anunoby. Yeah, his former coach in Indiana has tweeted this weekend that he's been working with OG this summer. This is the third Raptor to have their trainer come out and say some big things about them. And what OG's former Indiana coach is saying, that working with him this summer, he's seen him work harder than ever this summer, that he expects OG to be an all-star this year because he's seen the work and he sees how good he is right now. So now we have Brian Macon, we have Precious's trainer, we got OG's former university coach, all spouting that their guys have made jumps this summer. You do the math. You figure it out. You don't have to go look at an ESPN preseason ranking and see where the Raptors are to understand that these dudes, if they've gotten better this summer, if Pascal's gotten better, if Fred's healthy and he's changed his game slightly, this team could be very nasty, because they were very nasty last year. And these are educated opinions. This isn't just me. Like, I'm going to say, oh, the best side of everything for the Raptors. No, these are the guys who work with these guys and have seen them over the years. And they're saying that they're seeing huge jumps in their game in the last couple months from years and years of watching them. So I believe them. I believe Coach Crean when he says that OG Anunoby could be an all-star this year. Because if anybody's going to know it, it's his university coach that's been working with him for what? Like, I don't know. OG's been in the league 6 years, and he was with them for like 2 years. So like 8 years and stuff like that. It's really, really interesting. So yeah, Kenny, if you want to see Precious clips, go to his IG, and then also watch Scottie's first YouTube episode. So there's a little bit of Precious on there also. Yeah, and Denal saying Wakanda TV. I don't know. They should maybe make that. That would be popular. Like, you know, some sort of, I don't know. Maybe they can't use that name because of Marvel. Top of Top saying, why do you think Koloko hasn't been signed yet this close to camp? This is a great question, Top of Top. And this is there. Aaron Rose has a nice little article about this weekend. And I'll give him credit because I'm kind of ripping him off for what he said. Basically, the big thing is Kevin Durant. That's the reason why Koloko has not been signed yet, is that the Raptors are still hanging in there to possibly do something to get Kevin Durant. And I know that they may not really want him, but it may be like all options open just in case kind of thing. And it really is that they don't want to put the money invested in Koloko correctly, right? Depending on this, possibly how this all shapes down. So it's Kevin Durant that is holding up us from signing Christian Koloko. It's like that last little sliver of chance that there can be a Durant deal with us, that they want to keep it open. And that when we see Koloko sign, that may be the tell that tells us that the Durant deal is absolutely dead for sure. So that's what I'll say. When we see Koloko get signed, that means Kevin is not coming here for sure. That maybe still holding off on signing, because this is really, really late. Everybody else in the draft has been signed except for Christian Koloko. And this really is the reason why, is that they want to figure out what's happening and have leeway to move if they want to try and still get Kevin Durant in a trade somehow. So I hate that. And I hate that that's the reason why. But also that tells us when Koloko gets signed, that means that the Durant deal is absolutely dead. So there we go. Canadian Cowboy saying, we play as a family from top to bottom of our roster wants to play for Toronto. Yeah, this is a commitment. This is different. Like I talk about the Vince Carter era. I talk about the Chris Bosh era. There wasn't this kind of commitment. Even with the superstars, with Vince and Chris, they weren't this bought in, let alone the very top superstar, Pascal Siakam, on our team, all the way down to the two-way guys and the guys like Gabe Brown that are on Exhibit 10. that commitment is throughout the whole roster. And that is such a beautiful sight to see. This is the kind of Raptor team that you dream about, that you wanted these guys so committed and wanting to win and all the right reasons for why they're playing for us and what they're trying to do. It's not about their own personal stuff. It's not about the ego. It's not about getting more money. Exactly. It is a little bit, but that's not the main driving force for sure. It's about winning. It's about your team, and it's about all that kind of stuff. It's so badass. And Masai Ujiri built this culture with Kyle and DeMar, and they've been so successful at maintaining it, even though those guys have been gone and stuff like that. So, man, it's so awesome, and it's like it's a dream. It's a dream. As a Raptor freak, it is a dream to see our team in such good shape with such commitment from all of our guys. Such a dream. Monique saying so many people and fans say Coloco is on the 905. It could be, and this may be very smart, actually, Monique, that if, that may be part of the reason also, is that they may want to just say, you know what, you're just exhibit 10, you're going straight to 905, and you're not going to see the big league in your first year, Christian. And it may be really good for his development. Go down there, get a whole bunch of confidence, become the G League player of the year, be the defensive player of the year in the G League, be the MVP, and win the G League championship, Christian Coloco, in your first year. And maybe you come and do a little bit of spot duty up in the NBA, but you're going to be a foul-prone person early, and it may be better for you to learn at that level first. That may be part of it. I don't know. He is such a weird question mark at this point. It is weird that he is one of the biggest question marks right now. And Monique saying Gary Trent Jr. over everything. One of the things that I really love about Gary also is he has an edge and an attitude that we don't have enough of on our team. We need more of a guy that will stand up to Patrick Beverley like he did last year. Like that is the great epitome example of a tough guy that's not backing down from anyone, that he is a badass. He's a real one. But he's the right mix of being a real one, and because he is a little bit from the streets. Like you listen, you can see what Gary Trent Sr. is saying and stuff like that, and Gary Trent and his friends and stuff like that. He's a real one, and he's a little bit like like in the past, somebody like Allen Iverson or Lou Williams. It's this baller mentality that I'm going to kill you, and I'm the baller, and I'm out here, and like I'm serious. I'm an assassin. That is the way that Gary thinks. And we need that on our team. And it's good that he's a good balance of it. He's not a knucklehead where he's so over in the deep end of being a baller and having a bad attitude or a tough attitude, where it is a bad attitude and it's causing problems for the team. He's the right balance of like, I have a swagger to me, and I'm, this is a swagger that's important because the Raptors haven't always had it on their team at times, and we've looked flat. We've looked like a little dorky, a little bit like teams in the past. The Raptors have had no edge. Kind of like the Spurs at times when they've had no edge and no problem guys, no guys that are real cocky or have an attitude or anything like that. Then their team kind of lacks an edge in some ways, and that's Gary to me on this team. He epitomizes bringing that to our team, and in a way that's healthy and not toxic. And that's tough to balance because you can have these kind of players that are, from the streets and they're real ballers and they really have a real swagger to them and that kind of attitude. You know what I'm talking about. And they can also be a character problem on their team also. So I like that he's that right mix. So in some ways, that's another reason why he really fits with us really well, because he gives us some things that we really need, whether it's the be able to generate his own shot at any moment with different side steps and different ways, and then also that edge and stuff like that. So Top saying, do you think shot creation at the net from our backcourt, i.e. scoring at the net and getting to the free throw line, will continue to be an issue with our backcourt? Yeah, but it may be also that maybe we just try and stay away from it. Like I know Gary loves to drive, and we saw a lot of them driving in Rico Hines and stuff like that. These guys are good. Like Fred has his own little weird little English like flip ups that he can do, hit off top high of the backboard and it falls in, stuff like that. He's good at that kind of stuff. At the end of the year, Fred had a really hard time finishing any of that kind of stuff because of his knee. And that was what Nick Nurse was gauging how well he looked at. If Fred's going to the basket and trying to lay the ball in, that means he's feeling pretty good. Because if he isn't, then he won't be doing that. And then that limits his ability to be a good scorer in some ways. Now, I really do think that those two guys are going to be used as spot-up shooters way more off of the other guys. Like Scottie and Pascal will be going to the lane themselves. and doing that kind of stuff. And these guys won't probably drive to the basket as much. They will when the opportunity sees fit. But I don't think they're going to be trying to force themselves to get the basket that way. I could see Gary settling for 3-point shots or trying to sidestep to a 3-point shot or doing more in the mid range than those guys actually trying to get down in the paint and trying to beat the Giants by laying balls over them. We can afford to not have that part of like our offense to be in place and stuff like that, because we could get Pascal to do that. We could get Scottie to do that. We could get OG to do that. There's so many other guys that maybe, Gary's more mid-range and three-pointer, but he can finish and score when the lane's open and get there quick. And then Fred, it may be more that he's really shooting from the outside this year, that we may not see him drive to the lane that much. So I think that kind of answers your question there, top, that I think that they will go away from those guys going down low more, just because of the way that Fred's more off ball at this point. G saying Mitchell is ball dominant as well. Yeah, he needs the ball. Donovan Mitchell needs the ball, and he'll take away from our other guys. And so we were very equitable with things across the board in some ways, even with Pascal being our main guy. They're really good at keeping it balanced and everybody getting their own shots. That's the thing with a big time scorer like Donovan Mitchell. He may take more slices of the pie from everybody else, and we may not want that. Like, we have really good balance and stuff like that. So top saying, I do hope the 2-man game with Koloko and Fred really grows, because we haven't had anything like that in years. Maybe with Porter and Koloko as targets, Fred won't feel the need to carry as much. Yeah. Well, I mean, he used to kind of have it a little bit with Ibaka, and even with Gasol to a certain extent. That may be the last time I can remember this kind of stuff. We definitely didn't have any of it in Tampa. And last year, maybe there were little signs here and there with Scottie. But yeah, I think that Koloko is going to be a great target. Otto Porter is going to be interesting. I don't know if he's going to be used in that kind of way, but he probably will be more of an outside shooter and stuff like that. But his mid-range is really good too. It's underrated. Otto Porter's mid-range work too. So, and Fred won't feel the need to carry as much. I think that in general, that Fred's just not going to be bringing the ball up the court that much. He's really going to be finding his spots and setting up in the corners and at the top of the 3-point line and kind of just getting ready to catch the ball and shoot and stuff like that. We're going to see that a lot. G saying Gabe Brown is not taking off his Raptor shirt. Dude, listen, if he's committed like that, like I said, I love the Demolition Man hair. It's like, he kind of does look like Rodman in a little bit. I looked at him a little closer. I'm like, man, he does kind of have a little bit of facial expression, a little bit like Dennis Rodman, but the hair really helps make it look like that for sure. Yeah, he's exciting. Like, honestly, I want him to really be back. I want all of them to succeed. I want Malachi to succeed. I want Jeff Doughton to succeed. I want Gabe Brown to succeed. I want all these guys to succeed and just be the absolute best players they can be, because that's going to mean the Raptors are so good. So good. Marlon Toby saying it will be dumb for the NBA to fine the Raptors for getting the team early practices before training camp officially starts. It's the offseason, and our players choose to train and get synergy. I agree with this. And like a lot of people said this about the thing with Minnesota last year, that's overreaching. A lot of Minnesota fans were saying the NBA officially hates us, that they do stuff like this to us. And like, they really do feel like they're getting slighted like we get slighted. Like, as much as we complain about how we get treated as the only Canadian team, Minnesota fan base complains in the same kind of way about being a small market and not getting favor and that reasons and all kinds of different ways. They think the refs are against them just like we do. They think the schedule makers against them just like we do. They think all this kind of stuff like we have in the past also. They feel, I mean, rightfully so for both our teams. This isn't like something that we were just making up, or there are real forces out there that hurt the Minnesota Timberwolves and us in different ways. But one of the things that's interesting I noticed is with the schedule coming out this week, that Minnesota has the most favorable schedule out of every team. Maybe the NBA is listening and they see that Minnesota fans are like up in arms and feeling like they're getting singled out and mistreated by the NBA unfairly. Well, they went and handed you statistically the easiest schedule for the year this year. That's true. Minnesota has the easiest schedule this season. And that may be because of all the whining and crying. That's what they say. The baby crying gets the nipple, right? stuff like that. All right, yeah, I agree with this, Marlon Toby. In general, I don't like fines in general. I think that they're fascist in pro sports because the teams, the NBA and the NFL and different leagues, they make the rules and they can fine people for the most stupid shit. Like they can fine people for wearing a Band-Aid on their face, like they did to Dwayne Wade. Stuff like that. I don't like it when they fine anybody. They need to fine people for serious shit. Like shit like Watson in the NFL. They need to fine people for real bad things and not necessarily for like celebrations or things like what we're talking about today. Teams just getting together and having a little bit of practice in the offseason. In fact, if the NBA were smart, they would encourage this to happen. I can understand why they wouldn't let teams officially pay for it all and stuff, because if you have a team in the league like the New York Yankees and MLB, they're going to pay all kinds of crazy extravagant money and get these guys an extra super good advantage in the offseason. So it's good that the teams aren't paying for it. But if the players are willing to come in together and do this and get together and play together and work hard together in the offseason, and they are better because of it, and it's a better product for the NBA, I could see why would the NBA not be into players getting together and practicing in the offseason, because it makes the product better for the NBA. So, I agree with Marlon. I don't like the fines. I don't like fines in general. And this seems like a stupid thing to fine people for. And I understand why they did it last year to Minnesota. But, it has to be an extreme case where it's something like that. And it may really have been that they wanted to send a message to Rodriguez and say, you ain't doing any funny stuff in our league like you did in baseball. Good morning, Sue. Good to see Sue. Always good to see Sue. Denal saying, you're saying you think we may give up Koloko if it means we can get Durant? No. I'm not saying that we trade Koloko. What I'm saying is to make a deal with Kevin Durant happen easier, they need that little bit of leeway space in their salary cap with money. And they haven't committed the amount of money to Koloko, and they're flexible with what they can give Koloko. They can give him a very minimum rookie offer, or they can give him a little bit more, and that may be smarter because they retain him for longer, and he doesn't get renegotiated sooner and have to pay him more later. So it's really kind of figuring out, he's staying on the team no matter what. It's figuring out if they need that little extra bit of money to make this work or not, is what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what it is. It won't have anything. I don't think he would be in the deal. I mean, maybe, probably not. Monique saying, did anyone see Gary Trent Jr. and Trey Burke combined for 90 points? Holy crap. Was that at the Kingdom League in Ohio, the one that Gary was in, where he was absolutely killing it? Cleveland versus Columbus. That may be the game you're talking about, Monique. Let's see. Robert Bruce. Hi. Good morning, Robert Bruce. We're here every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going all the way through the offseason. I'm going to be doing this live stream, even though there may not be a whole lot to talk about there, but there is. There really is. Sue saying, I may have missed this already, but how did we give Jalen Harris a qualifying offer with 20 guys signed already, assuming Koloko gets signed? Okay, Sue, I did talk about this a little bit. We didn't sign Jalen Harris. We just we tipped the hat that we are retaining his rights. And I think it's a similar thing to the Nando De Colo thing. It's kind of like we're not putting any money into him. We're just saying it's kind of like we're officially saying to the NBA, we would like to retain the rights to Jalen Harris and re-signing him, but we haven't re-signed him. And basically that means is like, okay, we have an interest in matching the offer of any other team if they do try and sign him. And so if Orlando comes tomorrow and says, all right, Jalen, we'll give you this amount if you come play for us this year, we have to match that number with Orlando or he walks and goes to the other team. But we've initially said we'd like to retain the rights to be able to do that. Whether we do that or not, that's a different case. So there's levels to this. It's basically like we did a Nando De Colo to Jalen Harris. It's basically what we did. So there you go. All right, let's see. Tom Duke's got the 5 dinosaurs out there. That lineup, man, that's looking nasty. That long arm monster lineup of the Raptors. Woohoo! This year's gonna be nasty, nasty defensive plus players. Oh my gosh. Let's go away from any Durant deal. I like that, Tom. I like that. All in on Koloko. What about Juancho Hernan Gomez? How's he fit in? What role? We haven't seen Wancho at all. We signed him, we got him, retained us, and we have not seen him anywhere. We haven't seen him with the team. I haven't seen him anywhere. I saw him at like a wedding or that's all I've seen him in this summer and stuff like that. That makes me wonder about his commitment. That makes me wonder what's going on with you, Bo Cruz, and stuff like that. Is this guy going to be a legitimate threat to make our team if it's like this? We'll have to see. Let's just see how it all pans out with Wancho. Like anything, he's not guaranteed for sure. He has a guarantee for the year, and we'll pay him, but it doesn't mean that he'll be on the team. So he's got to come in and prove it and make it still too. But yeah, we haven't seen him. That's weird. I don't like that. Canadian Cowboy saying, I don't want Durant. I like our team as is. I'm with you too, Cowboy. And I think that most of the Raptors nation's that way. I think the management of the Raptors is that way. I think the team is that way. It's just like Tyler Hero said on that Jake Paul or Logan Paul or whatever podcast. He's like, I don't think we should do anything. I don't think we should make any trades like with Utah because I think we should run it back in Miami. That's what he's saying, Tyler Hero. Well, of course, this is how somebody put it. Well, that's like the fishing, that's like the worm on the hook telling the fishermen, we don't need to fish. We don't need to fish out here right now. I think we're good. There's no reason to fish because he is the worm in this situation. He is the lure for the team. He's the one who would get traded. Let's just put it that way. He's the biggest bargaining chip for Miami. And meanwhile, he's on a podcast talking to Logan Paul or Jake Paul or whichever Paul idiot he is. And he's telling him, he's like, yeah, I don't think Miami should make a trade right now. I think we should just run it back. Yeah, that serves your interest, Tyler, here, because you want to be a Miami Heat. You don't want to go to another team. That's why you're saying that. It's hilarious. But yeah, I think that we're like that. I think that Boston fans may be very much like us with the whole Durant talk also. There's a lot of Philly fans that are like us. They don't want to trade Tyrese Maxey to get Kevin Durant, even though Joel Embiid does. That's crazy. Joel Embiid wants Kevin Durant at the detriment of a young guy like Tyrese Maxey. That's not good for your team. Let's see. Denal saying, that's what I want to know at Tom. Was he just assigning to help with Durant deal maybe? That's interesting. That's an interesting angle to it, Denial, that we got Wancho just to help be filler to go towards getting Durant coming here. I don't think that's what it is. I think that he fits our 6'9" scheme. I think that in some ways it's kind of like a weird Raptor troll of Sixers Nation. They're like, oh, you guys, Bo Cruz is out there. Why didn't you get Bo Cruz? Sixers fans like, well, wait, we could have gotten Bo Cruz. The Raptors got Bo Cruz. Why did that happen? We wanted Bo Cruz. So in some ways, it's like I said before, when we signed him, it's a win-win situation for us. Either we get a good quality player that makes our training camp and gets our team and plays really well for us this year, or we cut him and we can say Bo Cruz wasn't even good enough to be on the Raptors. And we can say that to the Sixers fans. Either way, we win. So I love it. But I don't know. Wancho is another weird question mark, whether he's going to be on our team or not, why he's like with this, and like what will he do and what role will he have with us? Will he even be like, he could be like an end of the bench stash guy who doesn't see hardly any time this year. And he's just around just for depth. Cowboy saying, I'm all on Koloko also. All in on it. Yeah, Koloko's a badass. But he's a project. Give him some time. We'll be patient. His offense is going to come eventually, but his defense will be pretty good right away. Learn how not to foul and play good defense, Koloko. Maybe add a little bit of pounds, a little bit more muscle, and look out. Yeah, I'm real curious to see what he looks like in like a year or two. Stuff like that. Sue's saying it. Stay away from Durant. She agrees. I think we're all pretty much in that. We could all vote on this. If there's like a Raptors nation that votes on decisions for the team, that may be bad because our fan nation can be a little bit wrong with Jalen Suggs and stuff like that. But yeah, that could be very interesting. I think that most of us are voting no on a Durant deal at this point. Yeah. Top saying, which trade happens first, Mitchell, KD, or Kyrie? That's interesting. What if none of them happen top? What if they're all stuck and they just all stay on the same teams? And it's just like, okay, it's kind of like what I said again. You wanted to move out from your living with your girlfriend because you're breaking up, but you're on the lease and you can't go anywhere. And now you have to live together and coexist. And it's real uncomfortable, real uncomfortable. I think there's a lot of situations like this around the league in some ways because of all this trade chatter, whether it's Donovan Mitchell, if he has to stay in Utah this year because no trade gets done. It sounds like Danny Ainge is asking for the farm, much like Sean Marks was doing in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant. And New York's like, no, we don't want Mitchell. We're not going to send you 7 first-round picks. So that's dead in the water. In fact, it sounds like Danny Ainge pissed off the Knicks front office so bad that they're not even talking to them anymore. And that Mitchell to New York trade was the one that really seemed realistic. I don't know. These guys are not moving, and it could very well be that these bad situations just stay together. Now Mitchell will be fine. He can play on a tanking Utah team and just kind of hope that he gets moved as soon as possible. But the situation in Brooklyn is going to be very toxic and weird. They do not trust Kyrie. The management of Brooklyn does not trust Kyrie, and it's obvious why they shouldn't trust him. And they don't have any confidence in him, and there's no confidence around shared on that team. Scottie has confidence in Malachi Flynn, and not a lot of us do. That says a lot. Meanwhile, how much confidence does Kevin Durant have in Ben Simmons? How much confidence does Kevin Durant have in Kyrie Irving in some respects? That's the thing I'm talking about here. So I don't know how to predict this. I think that the easiest deal out of the three of them to do is the Kyrie deal with the Lakers. The Lakers will trade these draft picks now to them, and that maybe that is the thing that'll start it all. But I don't know. It's not clear to me. It seems like they're not getting anywhere. Everything's just stalled out, and it's been like this for over a month now. So, hey, whatever. Let them be dumpster fires burning out of control every which way. It's the best. Thumbs up to Canadian Cowboy and Denial. Yeah. Denal saying Lex and Mo at the meetup at Top. Laugh out loud. Yeah, guys, listen, we're doing a meet and greet this week. I'll do my little plug for it. 7 p.m. Friday night, August the 26th. We're meeting at Noonan's Irish Pub, Broadview Station on TTC Subway. You just go to Broadview Station and come across the street, and Noonan's is there. And Monique and I will be there, and other people. Granny Evelyn's saying she's coming, and Raymond Jacob. So anybody else that can make the Raptorfreak meet and greet, meet us in person and come and see us. We're going to have trading cards. We're going to be trading basketball cards and hopefully doing a live stream there. Hopefully it'll all work as far as Wi-Fi and connecting and stuff like that. If it doesn't, we'll make sure you guys get to know what happens. But I'm really hoping we can do a live stream while we're there. And Monique, I've got some Michael Jordan. I've got some Larry Bird. I've got some Akeem Olajuwon for you that I'm going to trade with you. If you can bring me some more of the younger good players right now in those cards, and we'll do some trading and stuff. So 7 o'clock p.m., Noonan's Irish Pub at Broadview Subway Station on Danforth. So that's where we'll be 7 o'clock on Friday. So please come and join us. Evelyn's saying, happy Sunday, guys. Watching with my son, Angelo, the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Angelo. I hope you have a great day, and let's go Raptors. I'm sure Angelo's a Raptor fan, just like Granny Evelyn is. And thanks for watching. Hopefully you can subscribe and watch too, and get on the Raptorfreak train with Evelyn and everybody else. I mean, I think baby Candace is on this train too with us. Yeah, she's been involved in the stream and stuff like that. Denal saying happy birthday to Angelo. Look at this outpouring of love for Angelo. I love this. Canadian Cowboy, happy birthday. Tom Duke, happy birthday, Angelo. Sue saying happy birthday, Angelo. Lolita, happy birthday, Angelo. And Evelyn saying, thank you guys for greeting Angelo. Hey, listen, more the merrier. And anybody who's family with Granny Evelyn's family with me. That's how I say. All right. I love it. Let's see. Tom Duke saying Juancho Hernan Gomez playing ball for Spain, Euro basketball. Sergio Scarioli is their coach. Okay, that could, once again, the Spanish connection with Juancho is a big part of probably why the Raptors got him. Whether it's Marc Gasol and Jose Calderon talking to him, letting him know what the Raptors organization is all about, whether it's Sergio, a former assistant coach for us who's actually his coach now. He's probably very much knows what the Raptors are all about just from having these kind of people and friends around him. That's right. I have to remember all these European guys are playing Euro basketball over there for their countries. And they're doing battles, whether it's Svi on Ukraine or Isaac Bonga for Germany, stuff like that's going on. So Juancho's over in Europe playing for Spain and stuff like that. That's right. So maybe I could probably find some highlights of him from this summer. I just got to dig a little deep. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love seeing you guys all saying hello to Angelo. That's so awesome. I love it. All right, let's see. Monique saying Team Canada is traveling out any day. Listen, I need to make something very clear, and I need to talk about this very seriously. And I feel like I should have talked about this a little bit more clearly the other day when I did my Team Canada segment on Thursday, I think it was. You know what? We're playing Argentina on Thursday. I forget that this is Argentina. It's not Panama. It's not Dominican. It's not Virgin Islands. This is Argentina. And Argentina is like Nocioni, Ginobili. Yeah, there's a lot of good players on Argentina, and they're a force in the Americas. So this game that Tom Duke's going to on Thursday, Team Canada versus Team Argentina, is a huge one. This is like a grudge match. This is a big deal. The Team Canada could very easily lose this game because Argentina has NBA talent caliber. And they need to not take them lightly. This is going to be the biggest test for Team Canada this summer. And this is going to be a hell of a game. Tom, I'm really envious that you're going to get to go to this game because it's going to be a good one. And Team Canada can make a real statement by handling Argentina, a very, very good international basketball team that it wins medals in international Olympic play and stuff like that. So huge test. I shouldn't have glossed over the opponent for Team Canada in Victoria. This team is badass, and I might have to go do a little deep dive, and maybe we'll set it up with a preview on Thursday before the game. I'll do my normal kind of stuff that I do for previewing the games for that game on Thursday because it's that kind of a marquee matchup. Argentina, Canada, Thursday, August 25th, Victoria, British Columbia, baby. And Tom Duke is going to be in the house. And hopefully he'll give us a firsthand report of what he saw in that game, stuff like that. So, yeah, I got to remember to talk about that because that is going to be a big, big deal. All right, let's see. Sue's saying, I wish I could be there. I'm so sad. I'm going to miss the get-together. I'm away with my mom for a birthday. Oh, that's too bad, Sue. Well, hopefully we'll have them more and more over time. It may be an annual thing we do. And, there's also the opportunity that possibly, we can meet up at a game or something this year at some point. Who knows, Sue? We'll make it. It'll all happen the way it's supposed to at some point, I'm sure. So, yeah. And happy birthday to your mom. This is like, all right, happy birthday, Angelo. Happy birthday to Sue's mom. Everything. That is, oh, man, such a lot of birthdays this week. A lot of birthdays this week. All right, let's keep going. All right, I like that you guys are saying all that to everybody and stuff like that. All right, Top saying Team Canada has to beat Argentina. Let's go. What else would we have to win to make the Olympics? I think we're in good shape because we're undefeated and we've already qualified for the next stage. So it's really like this game is kind of inconsequential. Like if we lose Argentina, it's not the end of the world. It's really kind of a measuring stick to see where we're at. Like, because this is a young program with Nick Nurse coaching and like Barrett getting the NBA players to commit for a couple of years. We got to see how this experiment is going. And Argentina is a huge test. But we're already qualified for the Tournament of Americas, and that's the next stage to get to the Olympics. So this game is inconsequential, but it is bragging rights, and it's also a gauge to see where we're at as far as talent-wise with a great team like Argentina. This is going to be fun. So yeah, we get through this. The rest of this summer is really just exhibition, and the next level will be next summer, and that'll be the next tournament. And I think that's the Tournament of Americas that you have to do well in that to qualify to get in the Olympics. So this is the stage before the stage that qualifies us for the Olympics. So there's a couple stages. Tom Duke saying, whoop, whoop, let's go. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, Tom's going to be there, and he's going to be going off the chain, I'm sure. I want Tom to get there and be the wildest Raptor freak that he can be and just go crazy. Just tell Dr. Nurse what a badass he is. Like I said, if you run into Nick Nurse, Tom Duke, just thank him. Just thank him. Just say thank you, Nick Nurse, for being our coach and being an amazing coach for both the Toronto Raptors and Team Canada. We love you. All right, let's see. Denial saying, I like Jalen Harris to 905. And if Gary leaves or Flynn doesn't work out, he's right there unless another team snags him. Yeah. I think this is exactly what they're kind of thinking. They want to stash him and as insurance. And yeah, you're right. If we do move Gary for some reason or whatever, we have a little bit of depth to move up. Now, it does depend on whether Flynn does what we hope he's going to do this year and bust out and finally be a really good NBA player. It does depend on, also Jalen Harris also. Like, we have to see if he continues to excel, push himself, get to higher levels, because that's what's going to take. He can do something on CEBL level, he can do something on the 905 level, but can he do it on the main level? And that's the thing we're wondering about Malachi too. So it's two ways. Two guys are just like that. Tom Duke saying then a trip to the Philippines, I think, next for Team Canada. I think they go to Panama. They play in BC, the game you're going to, and then they go south to Panama, and they're playing Team Panama in Panama. And somebody was saying they were worried about them being in Panama and stuff like that because of problems with that, I don't know, cartel or something like that. Like, nah, don't worry about that. We have to realize Panama and Panama Canal has had a huge U.S. presence in it forever, since the beginning of when they started building it. In fact, the U.S. has a strategic base at Panama to watch over the canal, so that that trade route can be always clear and not have any problems. So there is a very heavy U.S. military presence in Panama. So anybody's worried about Canada players going there and being in trouble because Panama may have crime or kidnappings and stuff like that, don't worry about it. Because first of all, they have very nice areas where there's no problems. And also there is a lot of U.S. military in Panama. There always has been. Stuff like that. So yeah, Denal's saying same with Gabe. We can build him up even more. I can see him on the main team. I can see him the most on the main team just because he's Bobby Webster's 6'9" vision. That he has a wingspan. He has all the tools. He's that kind of player that we love to have on our team. He is a wing. What wing would he be on our wing menu? I'm going to have to figure out a flavor for Gabe Brown. What wing would he be on our wing menu? We've pretty much filled almost all the wing flavors. So I'm going to have to go figure out a new one for him. It may be a really interesting one. Maybe he's spicy habanero wing or something like that because of the hair color, stuff like that. Spicy habanero. I don't know. That maybe should be Pascal, but I don't know. Let's see. Canadian Cowboy saying, have a great day, everybody. Let's go Raptors and Team Canada. Stay safe, everyone. Yeah. I love that message all around. Gabe looks promising. Take it easy, Canadian Cowboy. I hope you still drop through this week. It'd be great to see you. Top is saying, is the 905 roster out, or who is there for their training camp? When does that list come out? I'm not sure. That's probably gonna be shaken out with training camp, because listen, it really is where we're gonna divert different people. Whether Christian's gonna be on the 905 or with us on the main team, stuff like that. We'll figure all that probably in early October. Maybe late September, the very beginning, somewhere around. It's going to be in October. It's probably going to be after the preseason, maybe even. So I don't know. Could be mid-October. Let's see. Top saying at Denal, yes, Gabe looks like he could be a keeper, but have to see him on the 905. He has such a nice shot, and it's just some good athleticism. You can tell he's really active and stuff good defender too, probably. Monique's saying no, mid-September, October. Yeah, I think that Monique's right. Talking about that demolition wing. Demolition wing. Yeah, we got the new demolition flavor wing. It's worse than atomic. It will demolish your insides. That's right. Demolition wing. I love that. Demolition man wing. That's great, Denal. And on that note, I'm going to finish things up. Just in recap of what was my subject today, the Raptors didn't do anything wrong at Rico Hines runs. I'm sorry if I made anybody worried about that. They did things very savvy and smart to follow the rules. And the rules are that they can't hold anything officially, that they can't pay for them to get there. They can't pay for their airfare. They can't pay for their hotel. They can't pay for anything for these guys to do this. That this is the personal commitments of each individual on the Raptors, putting in the time, the money, and the effort to come to Rico Hines and be there. And that the fact that there were other players from other teams on other contracts nulligates it being a closed practice. The James Harden's there, and he's seeing everything that's happening. It's not like there's anything proprietary happening. Well, maybe there was on the down low. Maybe they're using hand signals and winks and stuff like that, but not outright coaching right in front of everyone. I don't know. No reason to get worried. No reason to overreach, NBA. Just, this is good for the game. These guys are improving their skills to make a better product for you to make money off of. So what is the problem here? There is no problem. And I think that Masai and Bobby know all the rules and now how to avoid any kind of problem in this area. And they've been very savvy and smart about it. So sure, Minnesota fan, get up in arms. Why did we get fined $250,000 and the Raptors aren't getting fined for this? Well, we looked at the rule book and we figured out what we could and couldn't do, and we operated within that. Meanwhile, you guys just went ahead and did it the way you wanted to do it, and you got in trouble. So that's the difference right there. So, all right, let's see. Lolita's saying, ever wonder how many feet will it be if all Raptors hold hands? It will be amazing. It'd be like Hands Across America from like the 80s or something like that. Maybe we could get them across the Eaton Center or something like that. We'll start them at one end of the Eaton Center. Maybe they can get us. I don't know. They probably can't go that far. That is an interesting question, and I see that you've entertained denial with it. Monique saying, "Let's go Raptors." Good show, Lex. Anyways, thank you, Monique, for the nice words and stuff like that. Hilarious stuff, Lolita. This is the kind of outside thinking that we like to have here on the Raptorfreak channel. Is thinks outside the box. Yeah, maybe this is a frivolous thing to think about, but it's fun. And it could be like, I don't know, the wingspans. I mean, let's see. How many of these guys do we have at like 7-foot wingspan? If we calculate that by 10 or something like that, let's see. That's like a 7-foot wingspan times 10. That's 70 feet. That's 70 feet right there. I mean, maybe we can get a whole football field across with the guys, stuff like that. All right. Thank you, Tom Duke. All the best, guys. Have a great start to your week. Enjoy your Sunday and stuff like that. I'll be back tomorrow for a Monday Memory. Thanks again. Please hit subscribe button. It helps a lot. Do whatever you can. Hit like, share, whatever. The stuff that YouTube people say. Thanks for being here, and let's go Raptors. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. All right. Oh, man. Oh.